All right, let's talk about a feeling I bet you know all too well. You're drowning in charts, right? But somehow, none of them seem to actually help you deliver more value. If you're a Scrum Master, a product owner, heck, anyone on an Agile team, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So today, we are going to cut through all that noise. We're going to find the three metrics that really matter, and I'm serious about this. Give you permission to just delete the rest. Let's get into it. Okay, let's just be honest for a second. This is the uncomfortable truth in so many stand-ups and reviews, isn't it? You know the one. It's that chart you spend all this time updating, the one that's supposed to show progress, but you look around the room and everyone's eyes just glaze over. It feels like a total chore because deep down, we all know it's not telling us the real story. And really, it's just a symptom of a much bigger problem. And here's that problem in a nutshell. We've become absolutely obsessed with collecting data, but we are starving for real, useful information. You know, we generate all these charts, all these reports, but they just don't lead to better decisions. They don't spark smarter conversations. They're just artifacts. They're proof that we did the process, but they're not actually tools that help us get better. So I want you to really think about this for a second. Think about your last retrospective or your last sprint review. Did looking at that velocity chart or that burndown graph actually spark a genuine, insightful conversation about how to improve? Or did it just feel like you were checking a box? Just presenting numbers for the sake of presenting numbers? If you're nodding your head right now, trust me, you are not alone. Okay, so you might be thinking, so what? It's just a useless chart, who cares? But the thing is, the damage goes way deeper than just a few wasted minutes. When we focus on the wrong stuff, these vanity metrics, the numbers that look really impressive on a slide but don't actually measure any real impact, well, they can actively, seriously harm your team's health and its performance. And this is the absolute crucial point. What you measure is what you get. So if you measure the wrong thing, you are going to drive the wrong behavior. This isn't just noise. It has real, tangible costs. It kills team motivation, right? Because people feel like all their hard work isn't being seen, just how busy they are. It causes massive miscommunication with stakeholders who look at your pretty charts and wonder why they aren't seeing any actual value. And worst of all, it makes everyone focus on activity over impact, blinding you to the real problems. You just can't improve. So to fix this, we have to make a pretty fundamental shift in our thinking. See, most of the bad metrics we use are what you'd call lagging indicators. They tell you about the past. Think of it like looking at the final score of a game that's already over. It's interesting, I guess, but you can't change it. What we need are leading indicators. These are the metrics that help us predict the future, the ones that let us influence the outcome while the game is still being played. They're all about measuring the health of your system, not just the final output. All right, so the very first step to using good metrics is, you guessed it, getting rid of the bad ones. It's time for a little spring cleaning. So right here, right now, I am officially giving you permission to stop tracking the numbers that just aren't serving you or your team. Let's clear the decks. First step on the chopping block, using velocity as a weapon, as a performance target. Look, velocity is a planning tool. That's it. It's meant to help a team forecast what they might get done. But the second you turn it into a target, the second you say we have to hit a velocity of 30, guess what happens? The team just starts gaming the system. Estimates get bigger, stories get inflated, all just to hit the number. And just like that, any real predictability is completely gone. And next up, yes, our old friend, the story point burndown chart. The reason nobody looks at it is actually really simple. Burning down a bunch of abstract points has almost zero correlation to delivering real value. A team can have a beautiful, perfect burndown chart and deliver absolutely nothing to the customer until the very last day. It's a classic measure of activity, not achievement. So let's get rid of it. Okay, so now that we've cleared out all that clutter, what should we be focusing on? Well, it all boils down to three simple, incredibly powerful metrics. And these aren't just numbers. They're all centered on the concept of flow. This is going to be your new foundation for every single conversation you have about value from now on. Here they are, your new big three: cycle time, work in progress, or WIP, and throughput. That's it. What's so great about them? Well, they're super simple to understand, they're really hard to game, and they directly measure the actual health of your delivery system. So let's break each one down one by one. First step, we've got cycle time. Super simple concept. It's the clock time, the actual elapsed time from the moment someone on your team starts working on something to the moment it's done. And I mean really done, like in the customer's hands. This metric answers the single most important question your stakeholders are always asking. So, when will it be done? By tracking this, you start to understand your team's real speed and predictability. Okay, next up is work in progress, or what we call WIP. This is just a simple count of how many things your team has started but hasn't finished yet. And this one is huge, because the more things you have in progress at once, the slower everything moves. It's because of all the context switching, the bottlenecks, it just grinds things to a halt. In fact, limiting your WIP is probably the single most powerful thing you can do to get faster. It forces you to answer the question, are we actually focused, or are we just frantically busy? And last but not least of our big three is throughput. This is simply the number of work items your team finishes per unit of time, say per week. And notice what I said there, work items. We're not talking about story points, we're talking about actual, discrete chunks of value delivered. This gives you a clear, stable measure of your team's delivery rate, which, as you can imagine, is absolutely invaluable when it comes to forecasting. So there you have it, cycle time, WIP, and throughput. But here's the most important part. The goal is not just to track these on some fancy new dashboard. That's missing the point. The real power, the magic, is unlocked when you start using these numbers to fundamentally change the conversations your team is having every single day. Think about the shift this creates. The old way was all about busyness. The new way is all about the flow of work. So instead of going around the room asking, is everyone busy? You start asking much better questions, like, hey, this one item has been in progress for 10 days. Its cycle time is getting really high. What can we do as a team to get it unstuck? You also start forecasting with actual confidence. You can go to your stakeholders and say, look, our average throughput is 5 items a week. This project has 20 items, so it's probably going to take about 4 weeks. That kind of clarity, it's an absolute game changer for building trust. And really, if you take away only one thing, let it be this. Good metrics don't provide all the answers. They're not there to prove that someone is right or someone else is wrong. Their only purpose is to shine a light on reality, to get the team to ask better, more powerful questions. They are tools for curiosity, for working together to get better. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about this. What is one meeting, one stand-up, just one single conversation you're going to have tomorrow where you can shift the focus away from those old vanity metrics and toward real value? Maybe it's as simple as asking about the age of an item that's in progress instead of asking for someone's individual status update. That one small change, that one different question, that's the first step. That's how you start building a truly effective, data-informed team.